Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of NC-17. My name is Josh, and today we have actor, director, music producer. I mean, you name it, this dude's done it. We got Austin Galante. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. Uh, so before we get into all the entertainment and music and everything and movies and stuff that you've been involved with, kind of take us back a little bit. What really put you on a path to where you are today?
What put me on a path? I don't know. I just always liked the idea of acting, I guess. And I liked making music, so I started making music and did that for a long time. I moved to LA and I did a bunch of stuff out there and ended up moving back to the Midwest and got into filmmaking myself, I guess, because there's not a ton going on here. So I was thought, all right, I'll just do it for myself.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the entertainment world for I don't know, I want to say maybe the last decade has kind of been making a shift to where like the big Hollywood movies have really started taking a step back. So, and the independent films have really been stepping it forward. Would you consider yourself independent or somewhere in the middle, or do you lean more toward, like the bigger budgeted movies and stuff like that?
Definitely. I mean, I'm definitely independent. I don't have a giant budget, but um, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely making indie films at this point. Love to have a bigger budget. I'm sure I could do a lot more with it, just as every other independent filmmaker does.
Oh yeah. Uh, so
But there is something nice about the freedom of being able to write and execute any quirky idea I have and not have somebody go like, no, you can't do that, you know?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, in the independent scene, you do have a lot more freedom. Uh, I'm realizing that myself as a new person into the industry, but there's a there's a lot of people who in the independent scene would be more along the lines of they stick to what they know, like comedy, drama, horror, stuff like that. But you mix it up from what I've seen from, checking out your IMDb and stuff like that. You've done shorts, worked in music, horror comedy. I mean, is there a specific genre that you like, or is it just whatever gets your juices flowing?
As a movie viewer, I really enjoy a lot of different types of movies. I even like some romantic comedies, but I like thrillers and horrors and um, drama. I like weird shit. Like I like David Lynch. So or whatever. There's a lot of weird filmmakers out there. Amelie's one of my favorite movies. So I, I kind of like span the spectrum, I guess, of films as far as what I like. There are some that I don't, but um, when it comes to for myself to making films at this level, I find myself gravitating towards comedy just because like I'm a pretty silly guy and most of my friends are silly. So like it sort of comes natural to just be fucking, writing goofy shit, right? Like, so that's kind of, but I'd love to do an action movie. I just don't feel like an action budget is, under 100 grand or whatever is gonna really be. I mean, you could do something, but it shooting action is
Oh yeah.
what requires a little more budget, if you ask me. It's kind of like sci-fi too, right? Like I love sci-fi, but I'm not going to try to shoot one at my budget level because I don't know. I just feel like it'll be corny.
there's I mean, but there's a lot to be said with, like certain budgets. Because I know some people who've made movies on $500 that are winning awards, but then I know people who made movies that are in the millions that is just like bombing at the box office. So I mean, it really
Right.
depends. But
Yeah.
comedy is always some like I love comedy too. Horror is my favorite genre, but when you can mix the two together, to me that's like video gold. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
Yeah.
uh, so let's talk about some of your projects. We're gonna first. I gotta ask you about, and I hope I said this right. Sandrine teeth on the
Sanguine.
sanguine. There we go. I know I was gonna fuck it up. So let's talk about sanguine teeth on a driftless road. Uh, how did that come about?
I mean, like how did I come up with the idea or
Yeah,
um I don't remember 100% exactly, but I do know that like when I write historically so far, I look at my resources and I go, all right, what do I have available? Right. So I had access to a cabin in the woods and potentially an RV and like so then I kind of built around that. I said, okay, what would be like everybody does a horror movie at a cabin in the woods, right? So like what would be funny and different that you haven't seen before? And I was like, well, what if the monsters were going to a cabin in the woods? So so that's what it is, they're on a boys trip to cabin in the woods.
oh yeah. Now getting your cast together. I mean, was there specific people you wanted for these roles, or was it an open audition for everybody?
Um, I wrote I wrote for most of the people that I had in mind uh for the movie. I was hoping initially I was writing the part of Ricky Pete for Lavelle Crawford, but he passed on it. And I'm sure for a number of reasons. One being that I couldn't pay enough money would be probably a lot of it. But uh so I had to cast for that part. And I wrote it for fairly, I mean, like he's a large black man, right? So I had to find a large black man. And I did, and actually, I think it probably turned out better than it would have, um, because Charlie Mack really, I thought he did a phenomenal job in the role, and other parts were like, as I'm coming up with characters, you know, I'm sort of like figuring out like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? Yes, okay, then I'm gonna write for you. You know what I mean? Like, um, because there are certain people do have certain characteristics that are like valuable or different or things that they are comfortable with or whatever. um for example, Jason Rouse is just like off the fucking walls, bonkers, like doesn't give a fuck about nudity. Like, so that like kind of opens some doors for some other jokes or whatever. And so um, a lot of the roles were pre-cast, and then I wrote specifically for strengths and weaknesses that I've noticed. And then um, I would say about half the roles were people that I uh, in some cases wrote parts for. And then in other cases, they were, you know, uh, the story that was written. maybe, had 15 other characters that were anything from store clerks to waitresses to, whatever, right? Like, so then those, a lot of those roles were cast. And a lot of it was like, you know, I know you, I would like to include you kind of thing for the most part. I did have to put out casting call for a few of the roles that were a little harder to find. One of the main characters that I wrote the part for ended up getting sick and couldn't do it. So I had to recast him like 3 or 4 weeks before we actually shot. So I did put a casting call out for that, but I ended up casting someone that I had met and worked with a few times. So yeah, I mean it just kind of varies.
Yeah.
That was a really long way to say all
Oh
that.
no, you're good. You got some definitely you got some known names in the independent scene involved with this film. One is every time I turn on Facebook, it's a different casting for his newest movie that's going to be coming out, but that's Mr. Horton.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so how did that like when you were talking to him about it and stuff like that? How did him being involved come about?
Well, I'd kind of been, watching him a little bit online, as I do with, a number of people, just kind of like check them out and see what they're doing, right? And like kind of follow them a little bit and see, what they're up to and so forth. And I had noticed that he had kind of come to the end of a project and when you're at the end of like filming a project and getting it mostly edited or whatever, depending on if you're the editor or whatever, you kind of go like, ah, I have a little bit of free time. So I just reached out to him at that moment and said, hey, would you be interested in if I fly you up here and, you know, give you a little bit of money and do this thing? And he was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. So he came up and stayed at my house and for a couple of days and we shot the scene and it turned out pretty funny.
Uh,
Which I'm glad about. Glad it turned out funny.
oh yeah,
Because you never know.
it's very true. So let's talk about your character Sticks. Now I don't want to ruin it and spoil things for people, but yeah, just explain that character.
He's the antagonist, the main antagonist of the film. Um, I'm not gonna say a lot about it. I mean, he's a vampire hunter. Um, so enough said. There's some more like backstory and stuff that you don't really get to see in this movie because I mean it's a really long movie and it's mostly about the vampires, but potentially there will be another one, probably not 2 hours long, but probably explore that character a little bit more. But for the most part, he's just on a trip for vengeance, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The audience doesn't really get to know that character a whole lot. He's just
Yeah. uh, so length of a movie. Let's kind of go into that a little bit because I don't see a lot of people talking about, should it be 90 minutes, 2 hours, 5 hours, or however long. Do you find it more difficult filming anything more than 90 minutes, or are you comfortable between the 90 to 2 hour?
um, it is more difficult. Um, I don't have a problem with it, I guess. It's it's harder to shop a movie for distribution. It's I think probably harder to get people to watch a movie that is over 2 hours long. I think most people look at it and go, ugh. like, do I want to commit to this indie movie that long? I mostly just, I mean, like, so if you chop that movie up and you turn it into a series and you put it as 5 episodes on, whatever thing, people would be like, oh, click, and then they'd get into it and they'd just keep, you know what I mean? They'd just let it roll. So I think if don't like let whoever's watching this or does watch this, like, don't let that stop you. Watch it for 20 minutes. If it fucking sucks, turn it off. Like, it's super easy, like,
Oh
you
yeah.
don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. I do think after 20 minutes, most people will like be intrigued at what's going on and so forth. But, it's, I'm sure some people aren't going to find it funny and whatever. So, just try it for fucking 20 minutes and
Yeah.
see.
Uh, so I normally rate my movies 1 to 10. However, though, because I am going to give this a God's, honest review on my channel over the weekend. Uh, I'm actually going to get my wife to sit down and watch it. She heard me laughing a couple times, and she's like, "All right, what are you laughing at?" Uh, so I'm going to give it a review over the weekend, which will be posted on, the NC-17 YouTube channel. Uh, I will say it does deserve more than just one watch. I will say that. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
I feel like there's a lot in there. I think people will miss a lot on the first watch. They'll pick up more stuff, but it's probably, I don't know, whatever.
uh,
It's a fun adventure.
oh yeah. So, you making movies and, you have kids too. Do you ever find that sometimes you have to take away from the movie aspect of your life and kind of just be with your family?
Well, I'm definitely at the moment feeling quite a bit of irritation at the fact that I'm not able to spend as much time as I would like with my family. But um, I thought that I was gonna, end this movie and then have a little bit of time to kind of do that, take a little break. But I got talked into sort of doing the next movie by a friend who, you know, whatever circumstances came along, and then I ended up doing it, and um, it's been really hard actually. I kind of uh, just like because I'm still dealing with a lot of the post stuff for Sanguine Teeth. Like once the movie's over, that's when the work starts, right? Like
Mm.
all the shit you've got to do for deliverables and all the different types and promoting it and so forth. And then in the same token, I'm trying to like, because I'm the producer, I'm the line producer, I'm the I'm the director, I'm the all of it, right? So, you know, I'm and then the reason for it in these two instances is just because the budget only allows me to do so much. And if I want to hire the actors that, some of the actors that I want to hire, the budget is eaten up and I have to do the hard shit that like I just have to because I can't afford to pay somebody and I don't want to be like, hey, do you want to come do all this shit for free? So it has been hard, a little bit hard, and I'm hoping we should. I still have 2 dates for the new movie to schedule. Um, and I'm hoping that I will be done in October, and then I'm going to take a pretty good like breather. I mean, I'll have to edit the movie, but that's a different, I can take breaks with that. With filming a movie, I don't know how many times you've done it, but um, you don't really, well, in my case, you don't really get to go, you know what? Let's just hold on and wait for a little bit because I don't cancel shoots. Uh, famous last words. uh, I have never canceled a shoot. I just so far replace if somebody flakes or somebody, whatever, um, I fill in with another person. If you know, camera guy doesn't show up, I run the camera. You know what I mean? Like I just step in and do the job so that it doesn't fall apart. And it just keeps because like once one thing gets thrown off, then oh well, I can't do it. That you know what I mean? Like so it's just like it saves so much time to just not cancel and just call somebody else and be like, hey, wanna do this thing on Saturday?
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm hoping, to just that was one thing about Jason Horton's it's kind of funny because that wasn't the original scene that he was going to be in. He was going to play a different character. And he was at the airport trying to get on the airplane to fly here whenever the FCC's computer system crashed. It was that day, so all the planes are grounded and he couldn't get here. So I had to find someone to play that part. And then I wrote that his scene specifically for him, and added it to the film. So
Uh, so to answer one of your questions, this is because you said you don't know how many I've done. This Not There is literally my first movie, so yeah.
okay,
Uh,
cool.
but yeah, so getting a cast when you are, do you have a certain amount of characters that you want to have specifically in each one of your films, or does it just kind of vary as you're writing and you might be halfway through, then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, we need three more characters. Has that ever happened to you, or is it just along the lines, once you start writing, you have the story, the characters, and you just put it down?
I almost never call the script done until the movie's edited.
That's
Um,
smart.
so there have been times where the filming is done and I've added a scene. um, And sometimes it's because of an opportunity that oh, hey, this guy's interested in doing this thing, right? Like, cool, let's do it. Or, I just want to get somebody, like I've added scenes just because I'm like, you're cool. Sure, let's, you know what I mean? Like, like I've got another funny idea I'd like to do. So let's do it. I've got a couple scenes. Actually, there's like three or four scenes for the next movie that I'm sort of waffling on whether or not I'm going to do them just because of the time and the money, but I want to do them, So I'm like, we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to do it, but it's adding several thousand more dollars to the budget, which is like,
Oh yeah. Uh, so you're actually involved with another film that I am seeing some about, and that's the Fear-Filled County 4.
yes.
You play an influencer. Uh, without spoiling anything, how did that come about, your character and you being involved? And what can you tell us without telling us, if that makes sense?
Well, I haven't filmed it yet, but I'm going to soon. I mean, I don't know I mean it's a fairly small part. It's like more or less a monologue. So, um, yeah, I mean it's just I'm just like, talking about these people and trying I don't know if I should be saying anything. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it. I don't know.
Uh, well, if you signed an NDA, don't say nothing.
Yeah, I didn't, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just, an influencer who's talking at someone.
Oh yeah. So with everything you've done is very specific role that you've played or that you a character you've come up with that kind of stands out as like one of your favorites. I won't say your favorite because I don't want anybody to get upset, but just like something that's one of your favorite roles that you played or came up with.
Um, I mean, um, that's kind of hard. I mean, I like Sticks as a character. He was fun to do. Um, I think the movie that I'm shooting now, I have a lead role in, which I think will be my first lead role. Most of the time, in stuff that I've written, I haven't given myself a lead role just because I'm doing so many other roles that, it's kind of hard to do as that much stuff and concentrate on um, acting at the same time. But I'm getting used to it, so I figured, fuck it, let's give it a shot. But I think this character is quite a bit of fun. He's kind of dumb. Um, it's probably my favorite. Although I played like a creepy serial killer guy, and that was kind of fun. Just being super creepy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, so for saying green, what vampire movies have inspired you to want to come up with a vampire movie?
I mean, I don't know that any particular movie really inspired me to want to come up with a vampire movie. I like some vampire movies. I think I think I just wanted to put a different spin on it and and I don't know, just try something different, like kind of create my own story away from what everyone else does. Um, so it was more like going, I'm not going to do what they're doing. I'm just going to do something else. I don't know. That'll probably make some people mad. Like, no, vampires don't do that. And I don't fully explain some of the stuff that I'm sure a few people will be like, wait, what? What? So like, because there's a lot to explain, right? When you create kind of a new world and you have all these different rules that people aren't used to, then I mean, I didn't want to bog the story down too much, but
Yeah.
obviously, like there are some conversations that they have where they're like, okay, this is how it works,
Oh
sort
yeah.
of, right? But like you can only do that for so long before it just starts to sound like, here, let me explain the movie to you.
Oh yeah.
So
Uh
I'll probably address some of that in a sequel if I ever do that.
oh yeah. Speaking of sequels, what is your stance on sequels? Are you for them, against them, or are you kind of in the middle? Like, if you're going to make one, make it better than the first? And are there any sequels you feel that are better than the first, minus Terminator 2?
Um, I don't have anything against sequels. I feel like a lot of sequels go, we had success. Let's do the formula again, and then like you can tell they kind of phoned it in a little. And I think that's what kills sequels for me. I mean, there are a lot of good sequels, although I'm not sure what they are off the top of my head. That was Bad Boys Too Good. I don't remember. Um,
I mean, well, it wasn't better. Well, I mean, it was good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember. Wow, that's a funny question. I'd have to. I mean, that's one I would have to like Google movies with sequels because I'm like, let's see, movies with sequels. That's kind of like off. No, not something I was really thinking about. Um, the 28 Days series, I thought the second one was good. I wasn't mad at it, you know. Let's see here. I thought the second Joker sucked.
Agreed.
The Batman trilogy that did Nolan do all three of those?
Yep.
Yeah, those I thought those were all good. I
Yeah.
don't know. Um, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. There's there's a lot of movies out there.
Oh, there's one sequel that to me will ever be a defining greater movie than any original, and that's The Godfather Part Two.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah, probably. Yeah. And then I'm trying to think. I think I tried to watch the third one and didn't make it all the way through.
You're not the only one. There's a lot.
I feel like because I know not like actually last year I watched The Godfather and The Godfather Part Two, and then I tried to watch the third one, and I was like, yeah, I just can't do it. I can't get all the way through this. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
the second one is definitely better. But they're both really good.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't know. It's it's hard because I don't know. You get used to something like you went like when you watch something, you go like, oh, that was really good. That was really creative and blah blah. And then some people, when they watch a sequel, if it doesn't like follow the trajectory that they feel like it should follow, or you know what I mean, like keep going in a certain way, then they're like mad at it. Because sometimes people go like, and I'm one of those people who will be like, all right, let's fucking throw a curveball at this thing. And then you're like, what the fuck? That's not, you know what I mean? So,
Oh yeah.
and then some people get mad at that. I'm one of those people who doesn't necessarily care if the story sticks to the original like comic book or the original video game or whatever it is. Um, I because I understand it like as if you're a writer or like a creator of something and you're taking this basic idea that someone has already done, right? Like you've already read that book, you've already, watched it, you already know what's going to happen. For me, I want to go like, well, here, let's put a twist on it. So it's not exactly what you're already expecting, because otherwise you know, we just read the book again.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. But I understand some people are like expecting certain things to happen because they, remember it from the comic or whatever, and they're like, well, that's not how it went. So I don't know. I think that's kind of hard because I would want to just like veer off and do a completely sort of different story while keeping like, the origins and the characters the same or something. I respect what the new Joker movies did. I think that I'm not sure. I want to say I respect the second one. I'm not sure though.
You'd
If
be
they
the
had
only one
left
I know that says it.
if they had left the musical parts out of that movie, I think it probably would have been okay. But every time the music came on, I was like, ah, like they're not even good songs.
Agreed.
So it was a really strange because I feel like the type of person who wants to watch sort of a maniacal serial killer brutalize people isn't the same guy who wants to watch The Sound of Music, you know?
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Uh, Whatever.
Uh,
They tried something.
true. So speaking of Joker and stuff like that, you are playing Batman in the Adventures of Mr. J.
Yeah, it's just a really small part though. It's a short that my friend wrote and we filmed it. I'm editing it, but I still haven't edited it for him. because I've been so busy with these other movies. But it was something he wrote, and I'm just, doing a tiny little part. It's mostly about him as the Joker or the Black Clown, whatever.
Uh, well, I mean, still though, your name is now going to be synonymous with Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool thing though.
Yeah, man,
Uh,
it would be fun to play Batman. I would definitely be down. That'd be fun.
oh yeah, you might get your chance. You never know.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. Uh, what projects you have coming? Do you have coming up that you'd like to put a spotlight on that maybe haven't been given a spotlight yet, or just something you got planned for the future that you kind of want to announce, or just anything?
Well, I'm currently shooting a movie called What Have We Won, which stars Robert Lasardo and Jason Rouse and Charlie Mack are also in it again. They were a lot of fun to work with. That's one reason I like doing comedy is because working with comedians is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, we're shooting that this summer, and yeah, should be done with that in October, and then I'll probably have a good 6 or 7 months worth of editing and music because I make a lot of the music for the movies too. So um, I don't just like end up handing it off to a bunch of different people, right? Like I'm kind of for these movies, anyways. I've been there every step of the way from creating the story, developing it, writing it, casting it, you know, acting in it, directing it, then doing the post work, effects, minimal effects. I'm not like a super great effects guy, but few things here and there, and editing and making the music. So it's like, I mean, for me, it feels like painting a picture. It's like creating I'm adding all these little things, and like it's just kind of fun to get to paint the whole thing.
yeah.
But I do aspire to work with some other people. And I did on the last on Teeth. There was, you know, camera guy and sound guy, and um, uh, yeah.
Yeah. So with because you're a man with many hats because you do a lot. I mean, pretty much everything you get your hand in, which is cool because you like you said, as you're painting your picture, you're seeing it come together. You're seeing it come to life, and it's like hey, your hand, your fingerprint is on every single piece. Uh, and in doing so, there's not a lot of people out there that really do that, at least none that I know of. I mean, I know some that will do maybe four or five things, but not everything. To me, that is a rare thing. And my hat's off to you because I, I wrote, executive produced, and cast it. And I was like, that's all I can do. you know, but it's to me, people like you who, you're in it every day in and day out. You're just working at it. That I mean, that's what makes me as a fan enjoy the movies more because I know that you guys are doing it for the passion, for the love of the art. You know,
Yeah.
so it's for that alone, it's much respect to you, my friend. So yeah,
It's way too difficult to not have a love for the art because especially knowing that like 95% of indie films never make their money back,
yeah,
like
oh yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it's it's really fun, it's just fun to like bring this thing to life and see it in my head and then go into a space and light the space and make it, a lot of times some of the stuff that I have to shoot in certain instances is a little bit guerrilla, right? Like there, but I also write that way where I go like, okay, the way probably about the only way I'm going to be able to get this shot is if I do it in a guerrilla style. So I try to keep it brief so it's not like, I'm not. because everything gets more complicated, right? If you're out in the middle of a street and you got to contend with the weather and the sun and cars and everything, like so. I having done enough stuff between like music videos and blah blah blah, I know how to keep things brief when they should be brief and in more controlled environments then I can have more fun with writing and lighting and all that good stuff. But
Uh, yeah. Uh, so we're getting close to the end of the show, but I do want to give you the floor for a couple minutes. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Plug your socials where people can or cannot reach out to you. That's entirely up to you. Plug where they can see your movies and just everything else you want to plug. Floor is yours.
yeah, the movie is finally streaming as of this week on you can rent it or purchase it on marshmallownapalm.com. Um, I'm starting off there because every streaming service gives you a few pennies per stream, so I'm hoping maybe people will support a little bit by going to marshmallownapalm.com and renting it or whatever, and then I don't have to give as much money to Amazon or or Tubi or whatever it is. Austin Galante on Instagram and on Facebook and Blue Sky and Threads. You can and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel there as well. Um, yeah, go check out Sanguine Teeth on a Driftless Road. It's pretty funny, I think. I don't know, like probably funny. I thought it was funny. I'm
It definitely
biased,
had
but
its moments. uh, yeah, no, it's. I will say this, and then I'll give the floor back to you. I'm sorry, I talk a lot.
good.
I will say this. I won't give the rating right now, but I will say that I did enjoy it.
That's
And
good.
it's horror comedy to me is a little bit a bumpy road because sometimes you lean too much into the horror or too much into the comedy.
Yeah,
And when I give my review, you'll see exactly where I lean toward on this one. But
right,
I
right.
didn't. I did enjoy it. I want you to know that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I yeah, I know. I kind of preface with like if you're like looking for a horror movie, this is probably just on the very edge of being a horror movie. I mean, some heads get cut off, but it's for comedy's sake, you know. It's not like nothing about it is scary, nothing, it's not real gory. Like and it was kind of intentional. Like when I was sitting and writing these scenes, I'm like, okay, so how can I make this funny? Like that was my that was my thought process was like, all right, well, this is happening. Let's make it funny, So I don't know. Um, I, I think partially for fear that like when you're going to see a comedy movie, you're hoping to laugh, right? So I'm like, well, but it's like what if these horrible things were happening, but then something funny is happening in its place, right? So I don't know. But
uh,
yeah, I get it. It's definitely it's light on the horror. It's not scary.
well, I mean, I can tell you that from watching this and watching other movies and just kind of like gauging stuff. Sometimes I will say that what most people would consider, like scary or not scary and stuff like that. I mean, to me, dialogue can be scary just as much as actual violence or, stuff like that. And I will tell you this, the movie ran smoothly. I really did enjoy it. But when I sit there, I dissect movies like it ain't nothing, Like every little detail to me is like, hey, that like if a picture is askew, I'm like, oh look, I'm like, nope, but I gotta pay attention to the acting. I'm
Right,
just
right.
that was just a reference. I don't really look at pictures at his huge, just like But
Sure.
no, it's you got something good. I'll say that you got something good. Yeah.
Well, I hope some people check it out because I mean I know it's not perfect, but I think it's got a lot of fun parts to it, so
Oh yeah.
it's worth
And
a watch.
who wouldn't love a good vampire movie where the vampires are going to a cabin just to hang out?
Right?
You know. But it has been a pleasure and honor,
Yeah.
and I tell everybody once you've been on NC-17, you have a home with us, so you are more than welcome to come back anytime, whether it be
Awesome.
to plug a movie, talk about movies, or just whatever. I mean, you now have a spot here with NC-17 anytime.
Awesome. Thank you. It was nice meeting you and I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And I'm gonna let you plug the site again because I really can't remember the site right now. I'm tired.
MarshmallowNapalm.com.
All right. Uh Go to marshmallowNapalm.com. Watch Singerine Teeth on a Driftless Road.
Same
Sanguine, sorry. It's been a long day. I've been up at work since 4:30.
Yeah. Woo.
Oh yeah. But nah, it's been an honor, been a pleasure. Everyone, check him out, watch his stuff, support independent film, and whatever you do, if you go to a cabin in the woods, you just might find some vampires. You never know. All right, everybody. Till next time, stay in C-17.
Thanks.